Good morning. This is Justice's Waiting Room, another daily live podcast where we discuss news and politics. I am your host. Hey, just want to throw this out there first alongside the opening song. So, every single show, just like many other podcasts, we have an opening song, but instead of talking over it, or sitting behind a green screen, I'm just going to put the link in the chat. And if you get bored listening to me, go listen to that and come back. Like, come on, it's not that hard. What's up, Angie? Hey, Dubs. Okay. Gets a little more difficult when you're on TikTok because you can't just click the links and go watch it and come back or whatever. So remember, you've heard war. Okay. You are not a stranger. Okay. But good morning. It is Tuesday, April 22nd, 2025. If you would watch my last video on either YouTube or TikTok, you get the idea. I am aware, yes, the President of the United States went on social media last night and said we can't afford due process to everyone because it would take like 200 years. And I also want to point out that Barack Obama deported like 3 million people legally, which was also decried as inhumane. All those people got due process. What the fuck are you talking about, Don? Just throwing that out there. All those people that Barack Obama deported, due process. And also want to point out, since y'all hate the 14th Amendment so much, the 14th Amendment is where you get due process and birthright citizen. It's also the amendment that says that Donald Trump's a fucking insurrectionist. And if you think that Donald Trump is attacking birthright citizenship, if you think that he's not giving people due process, I think it's because he knows that ultimately he's a sham. And the midterms are an opportunity to turn that around. And I think the Democrats are off to a shitty start preparing the country for midterms. Um, you should already have an idea who your candidates are. That's why I'm building the American Socialist Party. You only need like 500 or 600 people that you got to turn into all-stars. That's it. You got 500 or 600 people that have all the qualifications you're looking for. You just got to turn them into media darlings, right? You got to turn them into people that people want to talk to. Empathy. You're wondering? You're wondering, like, Jared, it's not you. You're not the guy. Cool. Who is? Somebody with a lot of empathy. Somebody that can talk without fucking crying pretty consistently. I just want to throw that out there. Many of you have never ever been in a leadership position and never ever had to been called into question your leadership or your actions and how they affected other people. So understand that when you get in charge of other people, hey, that shit's coming down the fucking pipe hot. Should not be a surprise. Yeah. Okay. It doesn't necessarily take you. I mean, you got to have some chops socially. You got to be able to cut it up. You know, you got to be like a whole person. That's why I recommend a syndicalist socialist party that is affiliated tightly with union leaders. It's union leaders that I see standing up for these people that are being kidnapped and trafficked, right? It's union leaders that are saying bring him home, right? I want to also point out how many people that are in elected office right now that you have not seen talk about bring Kilmar Abrego Garcia home. Morning, Gabby. Right. And knows how to like answer questions when you're asked, that can defend policy and decision making. And also does not treat the opposition with fucking kitty gloves. One of the problems that I have with elected officials right now is that they are playing fucking scared of Donald Trump. If you're scared, get out of politics. Go to church or something. That's ridiculous. And it shows you that they will sell you out in a heartbeat, and then they'll get fucking scared and shell up on you and not say a fucking word and let this administration run roughshod. Can't have it. Can't have that in leadership, man. Obviously, the shit about Pete Hegseth, I could go in on all fucking day long. He ain't a grunt. He don't know how to run a unit. He don't know what the fuck he's doing. What was he, a major in paper? Okay. But his continued use of Signal to share classified information that will ultimately probably result in his termination. Again, the problem that I have with Pete Hegseth is that he very clearly has a fucking drinking problem, and it's like the elephant in the room, and no one will address it. And how does he get a fucking job after what he just did? Right? His opening press conference as SecDef, he had a fucking adult beverage hidden below the stand. Like, below the podium. And he was drinking an alcoholic beverage as he's taking questions as the new SecDef. And anyone else saw this spiraling out of control within 90 days? He promised to quit, remember? Right. Jesus. God, I feel bad for anybody that's got to be around these pompous motherfuckers. Yeah, I seen his kids looking fucking mortified. I feel fucking awful for these people's children that have to like grow up and go be around other adults and other kids that see it from the outside, that are like, y'all are fucked up. Like, all of you are fucking insane. Um I mean, again, the kids that have the sort of like near Trump kids that aren't victims, they have said they're all fucking crazy. One of my YouTube commenters said, if I was a fucking drunk, I'd have done the same thing. Had a fucking drink hiding behind the podium. Yeah, I know, Zeke. That's a problem when you're the fucking Secretary of Defense. You know what I mean? Like, that's probably like not the time, maybe. You know? But if the thing that they should do with Pete Hegseth is they should use him as what not to fucking do, right? Like, look, dude, you could have been a social drinker. He fucking ruined that for a lot of people. You know, there's a lot of people that are like real social drinkers that were like on the edge, probably, of being a problem, that are now a problem. Now, people are like Pete. People, they are. People are literally having the, is Aunt Becky or Pete Hegseth? Every family's got them. Okay. What up, T? And as per usual, anytime I notice anybody's watching me, I defer to advocating for a healthy lifestyle. Normalizing alcohol. I know, I was trying to saying his continued public exposure should lead to people poo-pooing alcoholism. It's like, oh my god, fucking look, he looks like an idiot. His family is fucking visibly mortified. Is this really what you want for the relationship with the people that you produce? Oh, it's not? Maybe we should just fucking stop drinking. Like, I think it's his continued exposure should lead to, I don't know what, it's not prohibition, but it's like where everyone all at once realizes alcohol not cool. And I mean, I was in a Marine Corps infantry. Like, Marine Corps was born in a bar. That does not at all mean that I am not a complete irresponsible human being and will not drink. I'm just saying I'm not gonna be sec def, sucking down a fucking scotch and soda while I'm fucking taking opening questions. The only competent person hired and qualified for the job by Donald Trump was Stormy fucking Daniels. Absolutely no comments. 10 out of 10. I want to make sure we say this again. The only competent person that Donald Trump has hired that was actually qualified for the fucking job was Stormy Daniels. Thank you, Dale Prince stuff. You should put that on a fucking t-shirt. I will buy it right now. That is fucking hilarious. YouTube did not react to that. I'm kind of shocked. That was really funny. The only hireable person that was qualified for the job that Donald Trump hired, Stormy fucking Daniels. Let's put that on a t-shirt. And he did pay her too. I just want to point that out too. A lot of people are okay, Jared. He did not screw her out of money. Again, I feel like I have to get on here every day and say some shit that's probably wholly, WHOLLY, wholly uncomfortable for a lot of people to say out loud. If you live in the United States, or you don't live in the United States, let's say you don't live in the United States first, and you're looking at the U.S. as a whole, you probably think like, man, the United States is awfully pro-Russia and pro-Israel. And I just wanted to point it out that I know 0 people that are pro-Russia, and I know 1 person who's pro-Israel, and I think they're doing it as a troll, which doesn't make it better. In my whole life, like, and I'm not saying I'm popular. I'm just saying I'm old, and I know some people, and I hang around some people, right? And like, I know 1 person who's pro-Israel, and they might just be dumb. We'll debate that later. Okay? So, on the whole, you won't find a lot of American citizens that are like, yeah, Israel. Okay? Not happening. Free Palestine. What the IDF is doing is genocide, is ethnic cleansing, war crimes, crimes against humanity. As evidenced by all the ICC charges on Bibi. Let's just like say what it is, though. Okay. What the IDF and Israel are doing is genocide, ethnic cleansing, war crimes, all as evidenced by the charges on Bibi. Cool. Also, so free Palestine. And then also, Russia wrongly invaded Ukraine. And the best people that I know, and I know a lot of awesome people, the best people that I know have volunteered and went and fought in Ukraine. Slavy fucking Ukraine. I'm talking about service members, um, docs, like medical workers. It absolutely takes nothing from me to say free Palestine, Slava Ukraine. I'm losing nothing. I'm gaining everything when I am acknowledging an oppressor. The IDF is an oppressor. Hey, by the way, when my unit was on the 26th MU and they went into the med and they deboarded that craft, they trained with Israeli soldiers. I don't have much on them because I wasn't fucking there, because I got pulled off that fucking deployment so I could go get surgery so they could try to keep me in the military because they actually liked me. Okay? But the guys that I talked to when they came back, their stories about the IDF was that they're fucking heathens. I just want to point out, I was in 2nd Battalion, 2nd Marines Weapons Company. 2-2 was the most combat deployed unit in Marine Corps fucking history, and on a MEU trained with the IDF and came back, excuse me, burp, came back from that deployment and said, the IDF are fucking crazy. They're fucking heathens. This was 20 years ago. So understand what is happening where the IDF has been enabled and they're clear. Look at what the fuck they're doing. Is clearly a direct result of nonsense and fucking them being heathens going on, oh, I don't know, 75 years? Is it too soon? I want to say for the last like 75 years, this is the IDF. Israeli Defense Force. It's the Israeli army. Mm-hmm. And again, one of the ways that you know it's real damn bad is when the Israeli army is hiding UN vehicles. The creation of, well, it depends. Who's David Ben Gurion? Primary national founder and prime minister of the state of Israel. Died in 73. He was the head of the Jewish Agency from 1935. He was the de facto leader of the Jewish community in Palestine, largely led movement for an independent Jewish state in mandatory Palestine. Polish. And also an immigrant. Hey, Allie. But so and here's even context. So people saying stuff that's not really true in my chat. Like to make sure we post what the truth is. So here's what our little research yielded. Okay. And negative Ghost Rider, the pattern is full. The United States did not establish Israel. David Ben Gurion did. He was Polish and a Palestinian immigrant and a Zionist, and he was the head of the Jewish state. And the fact that you didn't know that before you came into my comment section and spit that shit out is fucking stupid. Like, I would never in a million motherfucking years. Didn't the United States and the UK fucking start that shit? No. Where the fuck did that come from? Milli Vanilli tour has been canceled. They blamed it on the rain. So. And I want you to know it costs you nothing. Nothing. It costs you nothing to be like, no one, not a single person has like divine right to your land. Because that shit's not real. How about them apples? There's part of the reason that I'm not religious, and the older I get, I become like anti-religious, is because people weaponize their faith and use it on other people, and it's fucking disgusting. Well, I mean, we did talk about it yesterday about how the President of the United States had American citizens kidnapped and trafficked to El Salvador. Okay. Now, Kilmar Abrego Garcia and Merwin Gutierrez, these are the ones that stick out because they were wrongly picked up. Okay. But the U.S. is paying to hold a couple hundred people in El Salvador, and hear me out, is letting El Salvador barter with those people for political hostages from Venezuela. So imagine, yeah, I'm a veteran. No, brother, I just decided to wear a second fucking Marine Division hat. Weaponizing, weird word. Yeah. So understand, like, shit is going to pop off. It when you didn't even deport people. That is a legal process. You get due process. Remember, the 14th Amendment gives due process to everybody. Uh, JMA, you might have missed that. I'm gonna restate what I said. The 14th Amendment gives due process to all citizens. Don't have to be. Nope. Read the 14th Amendment. All citizens. All citizens. Does not matter what your citizenship status is. You are poorly read. The problem is it's not I. It's not I. It's you. The problem is you. The problem is you. You need to go read the 14th Amendment. Any person, not citizen, any person. Oh boy. Well, the difference between you and I, after consulting with many of my friends in the last like week in person, like talking to them, and I'm going to go get a political science degree and be a lawyer in constitutional law, just so this shit is dumb. I'm losing brain cells. Okay, all persons. That's what the 14th Amendment says. Nope. Holy shit. Y'all are fucking crazy. You can't take the Bill of Rights and the Constitution and say, and this only applies to Americans. Okay, so that means what happens when you travel to the United States? Keep thinking. What happens when you travel to the United States and you're not from here? Do you have to follow our laws or not? I'm asking. If you're not from the United States and you come here, do you have to follow our laws or not? If you're speeding and you're not from here, do you get pulled over? You get your license checked, you get your insurance checked, and then they say, "Oh, you're not a licensed driver in the United States." So here's the way our process works. I caught you speeding, you're going 10 over. Our state process says, "I'm going to ticket you $135. You have X amount of days to challenge this. This is how our legal process works." You realize that I didn't rip the guy out of his car, throw him over his fucking hood, arrest his ass, throw him into the water, fucking take his car for a joyride, and then park that shit in a fucking downed car wash? No, this isn't fucking Call of Duty or Grand Theft Auto. Damn it, I fucked my own joke up. But still, the reality is that you absolutely cannot just arrest someone and play judge, jury, and executioner without passing by a judge in front of a courtroom. Not in the United States. Not with any motherfucking body. And also, while you're over there saying like, no, but not if they're not citizens. I want you to think about the wives and the children of these people that are being fucking kidnapped and trafficked while you're sitting there trying to tell me that they don't deserve basic human rights and due process. I just want you to think about their fucking kids and about their spouses who are just left sitting there with their fucking breadwinner in a foreign country. Oh, by the way, CCOT's not fucking open. By the way, all those hoops you had to jump through to put American citizens in foreign fucking prisons, put them in a fucking prison that ain't open. He did not pass amendments. President can't pass amendments. Congress amends the fucking Constitution. Are you that goddamn stupid? That's not how any of that works. Presidential orders and executive orders are akin to memos. They're not law. You have to have a bill. A bill has to be written, has to be passed. That's how it works. And oh by the way, 90+% of the executive orders and presidential orders that Donald Trump has written have not passed. They've not done anything. So keep in mind, still on the right side of history, sitting over here watching Donald J. Trump absolutely walk all over law, except he's losing. Every day, all that man has done his whole life is lose. You want to talk about the case of falling forward? That's just Donald Trump's story. Failing forward and upward somehow. Like, somehow, this guy who literally, hey, he bankrupted multiple casinos. Do you want to know how? He didn't pay for infrastructure. He didn't care about his staff. Also didn't pay the contractors that were like working on his facilities, so they left projects half done. Donald Trump's casinos are the absolute gutter of casinos in the United States. Nay, I say the world, but I haven't been in as many casinos all over the world as I would need to make that statement. But I have been in as many casinos in the United States as anyone else. How do you bankrupt a water company, right? How do you bankrupt? First of all, I just want to point out this dude made tennis shoes that he never had produced. This dude made tennis shoes that he never had produced. He had $400 fucking tennis shoes that they never actually made those. You could never actually order them. They didn't pay for them to be produced. Donald Trump is the biggest failure I've ever seen in my life. And it's just really embarrassing because he's the president of the United States and he kind of represents the U.S. But he's embarrassing. People that are tripping over themselves to support him also fucking embarrassing. You should be embarrassed. Like you're showing your whole ass to like a crowd of fucking people. Like I'm sitting here saying like, the 14th Amendment says everybody gets due process, and you're like, nuh-uh. I don't I don't really know what to do when I'm saying like, no, there's like laws and shit, and you're like, Donald J. Trump is the president. He could do whatever he wants, and it's just like, really, y'all scream like children when somebody else is in office and they try to do anything that looks remotely powerful. You're all like, oh my god, government overreach, and now he can't even get deportation right. Which I just want to keep pointing this out, and I'm not like a fan. But Barack Obama deported like 3 million people and nobody batted an eye because they all got due process. So when the president of the United States last night comes out and says, we can't give everybody due process, that would take like 200 years. Really? Because Obama deported like 3 million people and everybody got due process. So how about them apples, Don? Yeah, somebody is a teacher in my YouTube chat, and they said they teach grade school children the Constitution and things about how the 14th Amendment gives everyone due process. That's taught in elementary school now. Elementary school, 4th to 6th grade. Mm-hmm. Big sixth graders, you never know when they're gonna get arrested. You know, might need their due process. Mm-hmm. I can't tell if you're happy about that or not, so I'm just gonna let it go. And by the way, when people say like, and Donald Trump's 78% of the way through Project 2025, and it's like, really, and how much of that was an accomplishment? Did he actually accomplish something? Because let me explain this to you in a language you can understand it. The president of the United States was ruled against 9-0. Let me tell you something I haven't seen in my adult life ever, and that's all 9 Supreme Court justices agreeing on something. Okay? all 9 Supreme Court justices ruled against this administration, and they tried to spin it as a win. I know your brain is like, dude, what? The Supreme Court ruled 9-0 against this administration. 9-0. And Stephen Miller and Donald Trump tried to sell it as a win. One of the things that you've also got to realize, you got to look up the number of aircraft accidents and understand that it's down. It's just they're highly visible because this administration fired the head of the FAA. Specifically, this administration fired the people investigating Elon Musk because he's had multiple space shuttles crash in the last like 6 months. He's had at least 2. Think about this. I don't know that I've said this out loud, so if this like hurts you or like makes you feel some feelings, my bad, dog. Space, the way they acted about space changed when the Challenger blew up on live television in 1987. It fucking altered the course of human history. And I get it. We've just been going through a lot, right? Where there's just like a lot going on. But Elon Musk has crashed 2 space shuttles in like a 90-day period, and nobody batted an eye because there wasn't anyone there because Donald Trump fired everybody that was investigating Elon Musk for this. And somebody said it because no one gave a shit. Yeah, you know what was fucking crazy about the fact that there were 2 goddamn space shuttles blowing up and streaking across the fucking night sky? Do you know what the sentiment was? That's awful pretty. Hey, look at that. It's awful pretty. I wonder what that is. That's a fucking space shuttle burning up in our atmosphere. Butterfly said Elon has too much power. At least he didn't kill 6 astronauts. Also, yeah, because there's no astronaut worth their weight in fucking salt that's gonna get in anything Elon Musk builds or is a part of. And also, um, a lot of people have been message me and ask me about the future of the space program, right? Like, so what, are we done? We are if we have any fucking sense about us. You heard me. If we have any fucking common sense, space travel is done. It's done. We know everything. We know we can't go to the moon, okay? Because the difference in gravity causes you to lose mass in your organs, which means they're weaker, and that means that you're gonna die faster. So we can't go to the moon, can't go to Mars. Although we did have a conversation yesterday, and I wonder what we would do if we threw our trash on Mars. Eh? 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 What do we just build big ass ships and just shoot them at Mars? What's the worst that happens? There are lots of reasons they can't go to the moon. Come on. What? You can't go to. There are lots of reasons they can't go to the moon. Come on. Can you tell me why we can't go to the moon? I want to hear this. I want to hear somebody that knows more than me about it. You understand I'm a flight student from Purdue. So go ahead. I'm going to let you go. I'm going to let you go. Why can't we go to the moon? And that I should know about. Yeah, you can't go to the moon. It causes your organs to lose heft. Yeah, that isn't to say we haven't gone to the moon, but we shouldn't. Angie, exactly. There's a reason I'm saying, like, we need all the resources here to save the planet. One of the things that we don't talk about because it's super fucking scary and people will just be like, oh my God, I'm going to go get back in bed. I don't want to work anymore. Is climate change. One of the things we don't spend enough time on, climate change. Hey, I'm just throwing this the fuck out there. Y'all need to move closer to me or north of me specifically. Mm-hmm. And if you're not, in the next like 5 to 10 years, where you live is going to get dumbass hot or dumbass wet. And you're going to be asking me, why was you telling me to move to where you are or north of where you are? I'm just looking at maps and I'm saying, Indianapolis, Indiana. And you might want to be south of some shit. Because it will get too cold in some spots. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Michigan, fucking Wisconsin, Minnesota. Mm-hmm. Canada. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're not too far, sunshine. But you're in the right spot. Why? Climate change. If you're not looking at maps and looking at overall temperatures over the course of years, I don't want to hear shit. You aren't saying anything if you aren't looking at maps. If you aren't looking at water level rises, if you aren't looking at fucking climate related emergencies, if you aren't looking at, it's just a hardcore reality. There's a video. I have a mission. There's 100 plus people in here, so I'm giving you a mission today. Today's my day off. I want one YouTube link in my inbox today. I'm looking for a video. It's off of a TV show, but I cannot remember where it is. Okay? Listen, I'm giving you a mission. Should you choose to accept it? Guy is getting interviewed as he's getting out of a mop suit. If you don't know what mop is, do I need to explain that? Mop suit is what you wear when you're going into like a contaminated environment. So think like a mask and a goggles and the white full length suit. So he's delousing from a mop suit. Okay, so he's peeling back the mask and shit, and somebody walks up on him with a camera, and they're interviewing this guy, and they're asking him about it, and I can't remember what tragedy this was, or if it was a tragedy at all. That's not even relevant. But a guy's getting interviewed, and he's distraught, and you can tell this guy is both smart, and he's also fucking distraught, and they who cares what the question was? Not relevant. His response, though, which is the video I'm looking for, because I see it all the fucking time, right? Where he says, you're going to be really unhappy. You're going to be really unhappy and you're not going to understand why. And the reason that you're going to be unhappy is because they can't help but blame us. It's our fault. We did this. And look around, and you just see the hustle and bustle of a city. Look around. We did this. They're going to come to our door, and rightfully so. And he's got a foreign accent. He sounds Swedish. But he was talking about America. He was talking about the United States, saying, when it happens, it will happen slowly, but disaster after disaster will destroy small island community after small island community. And where are those people going to go when they cannot live where they're from anymore? The shores of the United States. And they're going to emigrate en masse, millions, more than you can possibly understand. Because it's your fucking fault. It's your country that did this. Your country was industrial. Your country was a capitalist country. Your country showed the rest of the world how to come up. And it's going to kill all of us. And they're going to blame all of us. And they're going to come to our shores and they're going to say, no, you got to take us in. It's your fault. It's your country did this. For the last 200 fucking years, you've done nothing but put smoke in the sky. Have we not? You built skyscrapers that touch the fucking clouds and they're empty. You deserve this. But they're homeless and they're poor and they're starving. Is you don't have a choice but to take them in. Because if you don't, they'll run you over. If you're not just good, they'll just run you over. There's way more of them. Their survival, way more imminent. And I can't remember if it's like I dreamed this up. It was a TV show. It's real. I want to say it's real. And the guy is Swedish. But it's literally a scientist taking off a mop suit coming out of a fucking contaminated environment after disaster cleanup, after a major hurricane or like tornado or something. And he wasn't talking about what had just happened behind his head. He was talking about climate change and about how right now there are people freaking out about something that's not fucking happening. Right now. You got people in the United States freaking out about immigration. And it's not fucking happening. In fact, immigration's at like a 10-year low. Nobody wants to fucking be here. Look at what's going on in this country. Nobody's trying to fucking immigrate here. You crazy? But as I've said, we'll continue to say, as we move forward, as the sea levels rise, as the overall global temperature rises, especially near the equator, and there are climate-related emergencies, okay? Where do you think people are going to go? Look at where all the climate-related emergencies are already happening, right? The southern part of the United States, south of that, along the equator. Look at all those storms that are all the time in the Atlantic, right? That start on the western coast of Africa and push across to us. As those storms get more intense and they do more destruction and push more people out of their homes, where do they go? Where do they go? The shores of the US. I know that it's a tough pill to fucking swallow. But they're coming here and they will be here in droves and they will you will either welcome them among you and live as a fucking saint or you will be dragged out into the street. So I know you think you can keep doing what you're doing and you don't have to change your behavior at all. But I'm telling you, I'm gonna build a garden so big my neighbors complain and give it away. I'm putting solar panels up on my roof enough to put power in my whole neighborhood. And I'm gonna get a fucking generator and I'm gonna help the people around me get into a similar position. And when they come to our neighborhood, we'll welcome them in and they'll let us live. Because if you think for 5 fucking seconds, this is one of those situations where they won't just kill you and take your house, those situations are coming. Those situations are in our future. And we did this to ourselves. And it'll be long after most of you are gone, but it's coming. It's not about theft anymore. It's about survival. Everybody wanted to make it out like it was going to be some disease and shit. It wasn't. It was massive global inequality. It was the rising tides. It was rising global temperature. It was the ever increasing line between those who have and those who do not. And eventually it breaks. There's a major string of catastrophe. And where do you think all those people that are suddenly without a place to live, without a country to call their own, where do you think they go? Where do you think they've historically gone? The United fucking States, the US. And the thing about it is, instead of being like, that's going to happen, I should live my life as though that's going to happen. Many of you are just in fucking denial. Like complete fucking denial. We won't let them in. When it's 30 million people? What do you mean? What do you mean? When it's 50 million people, what do you mean? Hmm. That they're not having a great time, Woober. I just think you ought to know that. The anti-vaxxers are not having a good time. COVID's bad. Norovirus is bad. Bird flu's bad. Understand, we have no problems. We have no problems at all medicating immigrants. And when you come into the United States and you get your first physical in the U.S., bam, 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 bam. So immigrants, by the way, this is my favorite thing. That's my favorite. This is my favorite thing about this. If you're in my lives and you're upset because of immigrants and you look at your skin and you're pale like I am, you are a fucking immigrant, you idiot. Just like your whole fucking family is immigrants. Your fucking great grandma don't speak English, dog. You are an immigrant and a family member and an immigrant. If you're white and you live in the US, you ain't from here. You're not indigenous. If you're black and Latino, well, here's the thing about Latinos. The southwest part of the United States at one point was Mexico. Okay? So for the record, Latinos kind of get the little indigenous thing. So if a Latino person is anti-immigrant, hey y'all, actually makes sense. Yeah, yeah. If a Latino person is anti-immigrant, that actually makes sense. That's because you live in an echo chamber, James. Look at this shit. Who says anti-vax is suffering? All I ever hear of is vax damage and death. That's because you live in a echo chamber. Are you for illegals? There can be no illegal immigrant on stolen land. Joel, thanks for playing. Also, you're asking me if I'm for illegals, and you probably support a president who said that we can't give everybody due process because that would take like 200 years, right? And keep in mind, the farther you go back up your family tree, it's connected to the next tree over. So remember this as you are developing disdain for me, as you have disdain for the people to your left and your right. Understand those are your cousins. If they're not your parents or your brothers and sisters, they're your cousins. When you see someone that doesn't look like you and you think, "Oh, they're ugly," and or you think hatefully towards that person, let's say you're a racist. That's your cousin. They're just a distant cousin. That's why their skin's a different color. And you judging someone based on the color of their skin says more about you than it would ever say about that person of color. Hmm? That's just whole ignorance. So keep in mind, if you're a white person, you're a fucking immigrant. Yeah, yeah. If we have a reasonable immigration process, right? But again, I think that many people have tackled pathway to citizenship. Let them tackle that shit. Good to go. I don't think that that's a reason to be anti-immigrant. Yeah, yeah. They're Navy gal said it better than I can. Unless you're Native American or Central American and you're a lineage, you're an immigrant. That's just the facts. And keep in mind, the United States is a nation of immigrants. Nation of immigrants. When you ask who built this country, immigrants built this country. And they're trying to take that away. I would be super pissed if I was like Latino or fucking black. No, I was born here. That doesn't mean that you're not an immigrant. That means your parents were. Mm-hmm. Or grandparents. There weren't settlers. The colonizers. There's a difference. You settle on land you purchase. You colonize land you steal and take by force. Yep. I always find it hilarious that the bigger my show gets, the more ignorant it gets. Now they're trying to take the Panama Canal. Yeah. Some of the more ignorant shit I've ever seen in my life. So we can try to control trade. The New Madrid fault. What do you mean? Like I said, I'm looking for a video. Somebody out there knows what I'm talking about. Dude in mop gear. He's clearly stressed. Gets a mic shoved in his face as he exits like a contaminated area. Oh yeah. Where do we need to move north of? It's a really good question. You want my opinion? Kentucky. hmm So I coached football, and I started following these weather alerts. And I got to be real honest with you. Uh, I'm born in Dayton, Ohio. Grew up outside Chicago, and I've lived in Indianapolis, Indiana for about 20 fucking years. No. So Gurfs, no. The Great Lakes have dams and drains. Hey, you'll find a lot of people that will talk shit about a specific state, but I was fucking born in Ohio. Two of the best amusement parks in the United States are in Ohio. One of the best universities in the world's in Ohio. Okay. And I won't once you get down in Cincinnati, okay, one of the best quarterbacks in the world plays in Ohio. It is from Ohio. Joe Burrow. You think that Doomsday Map Madrid fault for me? I gotta look up this fucking New Madrid fault. Yeah, north of that is Las Vegas safe? No. You got to think about rising temperatures. And you also got to think about 2C of temp rise. 2C is like 6.2 degrees. An average temperature. So just think about this. I live in Indiana, okay? I coach the football. We go down to Kentucky to play a game. Yeah, Minnesota's plenty, okay? Go down to Kentucky and play a game. Okay? It's the hottest day of the year for them. 105 degrees. My players were having trouble breathing because of the high humidity and the high temperature. This was 5 years ago. You can take that for whatever the fuck you want, but when you take in a gulp of fucking air and it's got so much fucking moisture in it and it's so fucking hot outside that it does not feel like you just breathed. You can stand there and say you add 10 degrees to this, 10 degrees, to where it's like 115 with the same level of humidity, and motherfuckers are dropping in the street. Yeah. So I live north of, say, yeah, I think like Indianapolis is a good central line. That James, you're talking about one person. There's 335 million people. Any singular thing that happens, motherfuckers could be getting a vitamin C shot, and somebody's going to have a fucking reaction to that. That does not speak to the overall effectiveness and efficiency of vaccines. You really got to get off this shit. You've lost your motherfucking mind. It's no longer like an opinion thing, Dougie. You are hyper fixated on, oh, they got shots and bad things happened, when millions, many millions of people got those shots and nothing fucking happened. And I'm instead saying, look, 99.93% efficiency is fucking awesome. I was in the Marine Corps infantry on active duty. I got like 20 something shots. I never get sick ever. Oh my god. Look, here's the thing. You will not persist. You understand? You will not persist. It's not about disagreeing. It's what you're doing is harmful. It's not a difference of opinion. This is not about a difference of opinion. We're so far beyond that. Yeah. There was, hey, YouTubers, there was a person in my TikTok chat. I don't know what the fuck that was. They were posting 2 employees, both women, got the jab, both bled. And you're like, they got they got a fucking shot and a little blood came out? That's the whole reason we're not going against shots? Okay. Yeah. I I just want to point this out, okay? I played year-round sports. Was in Boy Scouts, was active in my youth group. Guess what? All of those things required vaccinations. Everybody had to be vaccinated. So I don't understand. I don't understand. Y'all didn't have no problem with this when we was kids. When we were going on fucking field trips at school and everybody wanted to go to the fucking museum, guess what you had to have? Updated vaccinations. Guess who never missed a fucking field trip? Kids who were vaccinated. Guess who hung out and stayed behind and didn't go to the museum? Motherfucking nobody. Guess what? While I was on active duty during a time of war in the Marine Corps infantry, guess how many people abstained from getting shots? Fucking zero. Nobody said a word. You just got your shots and moved on with your fucking life. And you said, "Thank you, sir," or "Ma'am, may I have another?" Except, no, please, I don't want another shot. There's like 9 of those. Yeah. Yeah. All I know is I haven't died from some shit there's a vaccine for yet. Yet. That's all I know. All I know is that vaccines work. I'm still sitting here and I don't get sick. You should see me mop my floors though. You know what I mean? Like, it must be because I keep my house fucking spotless. Wrong fucking answer. I have 4 dogs and 2 cats. This place is a fucking pit. RFK Jr.'s looks like he's taken everything. RFK Jr. has the face of a man that has never said no. You know what I'm saying? He's like, what is that? Yeah, hell yeah. Shoot in my face. Ka-cha! Like, that's just how he does it. Literally, in the face area. He looks like it's growing. You know what I'm saying? Like, his face looks like it wants to jump off of his skull. I don't know what it wants to do. Like, sit on a sewer grate? You know what I'm saying? I can't. like a dinner plate. I don't know what it wants, but it doesn't want to be on that head. That's what his face looks like. That's fucked up. Like, I know I'm ugly. Just call me ugly. Get it over with, right? But RFK Jr., like, holy shit, bro. Is your face trying to escape? And all I want to say is, like, God does not like ugly, and God will make you ugly. Yeah. Yeah. Also, drugs and alcohol do that too. But I don't know if you all have noticed this. There are no attractive people in the GOP in the United States. It's almost like you can't be pretty and be in the GOP or make you a Colts fan. Something like that. Vince killed the Pope and Trump killed democracy. What's next? I don't know. Somebody said I was in the army. They tested the anthrax vaccine on us. No one said a word. Hey, guess what you haven't died from, Orlando? Anthrax. Shit works, don't it? Cannot stand listening to RFK Jr. I'll be real honest with you. I'm anti-authority. Like, that's just how this thing is. So you better motherfucking believe your boy not spending a lot of time listening to Donald Trump, RFK Jr., Pete Hegseth. These aren't my leaders. You know what I'm saying? Like, that ain't it, dog. So fortunately, no, I'm not listening to them. I'm afraid for like RFK Jr., he gets experimented on too much. He might actually come out looking like a human. Oh, Steve Bannon's face? So, see, Steve Bannon's face looks like a face that has never seen a washcloth. You know what I mean? Steve Bannon looks like he sleeps in a dumpster. Just from the face. Yeah, they're all relevant to my life. Exactly. hold on. 0311 A13 Charlie Company Second Platoon. Hey, what's up? You must have gotten your fill of authority in the Corps. My fill of authority. Actually, I had great leadership when I was in the Marine Corps because I was in the infantry where, you know, people die. So my leadership was actually fucking outstanding. And I fucking loved being on active duty. And yeah, I was also put in charge of other people. And I was fucking great. Why? Because I had outstanding fucking leadership. Yeah, see, you could talk shit on the Marines, but actually, fucking job was legit. The leadership was good, actually. Actually, leadership was really good. Hmm. My CO at one point while I was on active duty was Brian Stan. Yeah, the UFC fighter, the guy that beat Michael Bisping. Yeah, that was my CO. I was there when he got pinned captain. Hmm. I wasn't there when he did his deeds, his Silver Star stuff. But I was literally, I could have spit and hit him. I mean, I wouldn't have done that in a million years. It'd be fucking horrible. But people always want to talk shit on my service. That's not good for you. Yes. Uh-huh. I'm anti-authority. When it's like bad leadership, bro. When it's bad leadership. When it's good leadership, they're just good leaders. You're good. When you have good leadership, you're just good. Things are going to be fine. You're going to actually feel like they're a guiding hand. They're not really like fucking your whole day up. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So no, like boot camp, yes. Boot camp is awful for everybody. It's supposed to be. You're there to teach people, right? So yes, I got my fill of authority at Marine Corps boot camp. That shit was fucking tear bad. Okay? But once you get to the fleet and it's a day job now, shit changes. Okay? Especially when there's people right there to hold everyone accountable all the fucking time. Somebody said reception was worse than basic training. Army here. I had 4 guys in my platoon at boot camp that got to us from med platoon. So they had been injured and dropped and then picked up with us. And they said like their motivation for getting through boot camp was not going back to that Not, I like, whatever the fuck happens to me, just don't send me back to the med platoon. Oh my god, this shit was awful. Now I understand you don't want to make it cozy, right? Like, you're not here to sit in a fucking med platoon. Like, get your ass back to your shit. But oh my god, they were, it had been like the worst time of their whole life. Don't make me go back to med platoon. The drill instructors like kicking their cane out from under them and ripping their sling off and shit. Just being a prick. Just being a prick. Yeah, but no. The fleet was fucking the shit though. Bannon's face looks like you should walk up to him and say no means no. No, Bannon's face. Are you ready for this? Bannon's face looks like when you take the trash can out of your, or you take the trash can liner out of your trash can and you look in the bottom. That's Bannon's face. Many people, the laugh emoji and the 100 emojis going crazy on YouTube. So I know I'm right. There's shit growing off his face that's like gray and it has hair growing out of it, and it's just like, is that a pet that has burrowed inside your brow? Like, I don't even. I'm just roll call and cold and go back to sleep. Oh fuck. That's awful. I didn't go to med platoon. I got lucky though. Like a funny story. The first time I ever went over an entire set of monkey bars was at Marine Corps boot camp, and it wasn't just an easy one. You know, the one that's like 8 rungs and it just goes straight. Hell no! I had to go up and down and up and down. So it was like you had to do a pull up. You lower yourself down. I went all the way through that shit. I got off. It was raining outside. My hands right here completely blistered and ripped off. Like, oh, it was miserable. And my drill instructors were like, "You're not going to fucking med platoon." And we were going to the Crucible. Literally, my drill instructors like kept my hands clean so that they would heal, so that I didn't miss a drop of training, because I was a big guy, right? Yeah. Oh my god. First time I ever went over a set of monkey bars. I was always a fat kid, right? He always got made fun of, right? And then I joined a fucking Marine Corps. Yeah, I actually got to the part where I could actually do that shit, right? And it went over that whole monkey bar. I remember getting off and I felt light as a feather. Man, I could have went back through that shit until I looked down and was like, no! Yeah, it fucking sucked. Like, imagine having a blister like all the way here and it ripped off. Oh, it was fucking bad. But that tells you, like, I clearly had not worked hard enough in my life prior to that moment. Somebody said, like, dead pirate from Pirates of the Caribbean, barnacle face. That's crazy. I hate to want to see somebody choke the life out of Steve Bannon, because then he'll finally look like a pirate. Like one of those dead pirates from fucking Pirates of the Caribbean. Rigor mortis for Steve Bannon. Anyway, Steve Bannon's face looks like rigor mortis has already kicked in. Come on. Sometimes the jokes just tell themselves. You know what I mean, Vern? As there are over 100 people currently watching me, remember that we advocate for a healthy lifestyle here, so make sure you get 8 hours of sleep a night. You also probably need to take a nap. Drink water, eat right, and exercise. What up, Cray Rush? So remember, there are a couple subreddits I recommend. Okay. Protest Finder USA. What was you outfit? What was you outfit? You mean like what units was I in? So I was in 2nd Battalion, 2nd Marines Weapons Company. 2-2 was the most combat deployed unit in Marine Corps history, sir. In fact, when I met them, they were on their 5th straight deployment to Iraq. Holy shit. Everybody got promoted and awarded. They got a presidential unit citation, and then we got selected for the 26th MEU, much to many of their chagrin. They did not want to. A lot of guys did not want to go on a boat. It's dangerous. James Bond said I was in Nam. I haven't seen that movie. Somebody said wash your face, so you don't end up like Steve Bannon. Protest Finder USA and R50501. Okay. And then I was also in 8th Marine Regiment Headquarters Company. That's where Brian Stan was my CO. A lot of people are asking, hey, what's next? We got to talk about our schedule. Yeah. So there's a protest on the 30th. Okay. Oh, and also yesterday started a General Mills boycott. So see if you can stuff that in your schedule for about the next week. There are also wait. On Thursday this week, there are Canadian Solidarity protests. All state capitals. That's a R5050. That's a 5051 protest. Remember Saturdays. Remember Saturdays are Tesla takedowns at the Tesla dealership near you. James Bond said, "Boo Canada." Did what? No. Canada's our ally. What the fuck? You didn't even joke about that shit. By the way, to the people that were in the chat that were trying to tell me about the New Madrid fault, I did not know. Also, that makes a lot of fucking sense. That actually makes a lot of sense now. So yeah, north of that, Bond is dead. I didn't know that. Did James Bond die? Broccoli did it. But yeah, I think the story of the day, I made a video about it already. Okay. Donald Trump posted on, I think this was Truth Social last night, and said, we can't give everyone due process. That would take like 200 years. To that, I say, good. And also, yes, you can give everyone due process. I know that things are scary right now, especially if you don't look like me. And I don't know if I've said it to my audience, but I did post it in a video. All my leftist friends are not talking about it. They're just doing it. So if you're not putting yourself in a position to defend yourself in the event that you were to be kidnapped and fucking trafficked, you ought to be looking to protect yourself. I'm not going to sit here and tell you to get the gat. Understand? I do not think that is the solution. Because I think a lot of people default to, I'm going to pew my way out of this. And as someone who majored in that in the military for a minute, you ain't pewing your way out of much. Actually, you're going to need some bigger pews. And they don't sell those to civilians. So again, you are fucked when we're talking about like a handgun. So you're not going to see. Why would the devil take Donald Trump? Yeah, Al B, I have heard that. Something about wanting to abolish the Supreme Court. Well, you can imagine he's next. Not everyone wears black PJs. Right. Um I try to not get myself banned from social media for talking about pew pews. But I'll just leave you with this analogy, and maybe you will pick this up and run with it. We'll call this Benelli. But if you've ever played Fortnite, and if you've ever played it for a while, you never feel as confident about yourself and your ability to defend yourself than when you pick up the pump. Things change. So there's going to be a lot of people out there telling other people to get that gat, get that little pistol. And then there's going to be me having made Fortnite jokes saying, no, no. Department of Justice data says that 57% of all gun accidents are self-inflicted with a pistol. So if you plan on braining your dumbass and that's what you was going to do, buy a pistol. But if I ain't going out on my shield and I'm not getting arrested and taken to another location is on your fucking radar, get the pump. Stop wasting your time, energy, money, attention, all that shit on pistols. Because a pistol ain't doing nothing when there's 4 of them. When it's you versus a fire team, a little pew pew ain't doing nothing. You ain't scaring nobody. Might I introduce you to Benelli? Winchester makes them too. You can buy them all over the place. Mm-hmm. I am not having a conversation where 22, 9, 45, I ain't doing it. None. No. 12 gauge. One shot and they walk the fuck away. That's what happens. Mm-hmm. One person gets hit and they walk the fuck away. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not going in there. That guy's got a fuck. Huh? The year 45 and 1911 was okay. That was a while ago. Now they've completely militarized the police force. I wouldn't be surprised if they came in throwing flashbangs in full kit with masks on to separate families. It would not surprise me. I've been telling people life is a running sport. Everybody thinks it's something else. Life is a running sport. Get 8 hours of sleep, drink water, eat right, exercise, and understand that largely you're going to run. You're going to run to a position and turn the fuck around and provide security while the other guy runs. And then you're going to run while they watch your ass. Right? You know what I'm talking about? You do it in pairs. You ain't never seen that shit? Talk about plenty of smokes. I don't smoke cigarettes though. So, but I've told many people. Many people have come to me and they've wanted to want to have a little gun talk. And you know what my first thing out of my mouth is? You might want to learn how to work that plowshare. Actually, these are Art, the right guy, and they were gifts, and they are gifts, meaning that these aren't even here. And you posting that tells me that you're just a deeply unhappy person. Because only a deeply unhappy person looks at art and says that's a violation of the flag code. See, you're just a deeply unhappy person that can't see the brilliance in someone else's wood burning skills because these are pretty off the fucking chain. and they've been sitting on my wall for a while, and I'm a happy person, right? So I don't look at them as a veteran and go, oh, it's a violation of flag code. I'm gonna post on somebody's fucking podcast that this is art. This is also fair use. It's also really fucking cool, and they sold like hotcakes. People really fucking liked them. Mm-hmm. They were selling from anywhere from like $250 to $450 a piece. Yeah. No. It's the thing about this is it's not me, it's you. That's the thing about this is it's you. Oh, so now you're a doctor telling other people to take medication. How wholly inappropriate of you. Again, that word today, holy, WHOLLY. Means like completely. Mhm. I know it's difficult. Words are hard. The right guy sounds like. There are those people out there that are like I'm always right and it makes people mad. I just want to point out you're wrong all the time and it turns people off. It's not Here's the thing. You're looking at the person that's like normally right. You're looking at the person that's normally right, normally getting laughed out of the room. You're arguing with me, which means you're wrong and also. Do you get it now? Cuz like I'm using like I don't even care about my feelings. I look at like sources. I want to see video of this. I will even look at a video and be like that looks like AI, right? I'm going to go find another video, right? Oh, and I feel like I have to say this shit too. Hey, man, or girl, or they. If you are a member of the LGBTQIA plus community, you are welcome here. Mhm. You probably don't typically see white cis males trying to make their space more inclusive, and also talking about. You definitely can't admit to being wrong. No, that's the whole point, Crush. I'm not. I'm never wrong. I'm the one being laughed at. And if you're like opposing me, you're just wrong. You know what I mean? Like you don't get any of the other stuff. Yeehaw, look, somebody gave me a hat. Anyway. So yeah, I think the story of the day, Donald Trump saying we can't give everyone due process. The fuck we can't. Okay. At the same time, the Supreme Court is fighting LGBTQIA plus kids in Maryland. Okay. I know this seems like the most obvious advice ever, but if you're like a youngin' watching me, you should be looking to read the very books that they are trying to ban. hmm You should make it a point in your young life. The very books they don't want you to read, that's what you want to read. And you make sure that you include that in all the work that you have to do in the education system. Yeah, learn to read and write. Yeah. One of the most consistent demands of my elders, my mentors, is to write a fucking book. Also, I want to show you this new subreddit I found that I find quite interesting. Hmm. Also, in related news, so breaking news on my news, the Dalai Lama has canceled a meeting with JD Vance. I don't know what it is, but JD Vance has it on him. And nobody wants anything to do with it. Oh shit, he must be a traitor. A stupid person and a traitor. Tuesday, also known as the worst day of the week. He doesn't want to. Yeah, he doesn't want to die. Yes, Gollum. That's what the fuck I'm talking about. Uh huh. Uh huh. Good call. Hey, shout out to the Dalai Lama. Mm-hmm. But hey, here's a list of the most recent investments by AI Pack. So you want to know who else, other than Chuck Schumer, who else's job it is? Let's see. Wesley Bell. Let's look at Democrats first. Wesley Bell, uh, Haley Stevens, Chris Pappas, Angie Craig, Richie Torres, Cory Booker, Greg Landsman, Mark Warner, Juan Vargas, Gregory Meeks, Jake Auchincloss, Mike Levin, Jared Moskowitz, Ted Lieu. Almost all incumbents, except for Chris Pappas. All those Democrats received money from AI PAC. Now, understand, um, Republicans did as well, but Republicans will take money from anybody that's given it. So, Russia, one of the things that I can't stand is if you are a veteran or an active duty service member or a National Guards person or your friend or family to people that are, and you support this regime, okay? Knowing that uh, this entire regime is propped up by Russia. Marjorie Taylor Greene, Easter Island called they wanted their head back. I've often thought that Marjorie Taylor Greene has the head of the leadership of the tribes from Easter Island. She looks like this is what happens when you put that in a dress. You know, give it a cell phone. Maybe put a pipe bomb in its backpack. Have it drop that off the morning of January 6, 2021, and somehow get away with it. Jared's a clown. Sorry. Yeah, there's a reason I didn't say never understand how our FE is iron. Many Marines recognize a coup. El Salvador is still failing. Right. But yeah, I haven't seen Donald Trump wanting to um, get rid of Supreme Court yet. See, somebody took my idea and ran with it, and I'm for this. Remember how I said JD Vance looks like a corrupt Cabbage Patch Kid? Somebody went and took the idea a step further and made this entire cabinet into Cabbage Patch Kids. I'm for this. Posted that for you so you can get a look at that art. Yeah. Yeah, Marjorie Taylor Greene needs to go. I agree. All these maggots need to go. See, and remember how I told you the Democratic Party is fracturing as well? Remember I said that the Democratic Party is fracturing as well. Here's David Hogg, who is like the new wave of Democrats, right? By the way, guess who you've never seen next to each other? David Hogg, AOC, David Hogg, Bernie Sanders, David Hogg, Bernie Sanders, and AOC. You've not seen those people together. In my opinion, one of the main reasons that, and again, I don't know if y'all know this, but I do need to talk about it more often. My name is Jared Malott. I am the founder of the American Socialist Party. Not only am I a socialist, I'm a syndicalist, which means that I believe the path forward, if democratically, is through union leadership and the rise of the importance and membership and enrollment in unions. Why? Because the people that are the leadership of unions, their job among leading people and having a message is getting people better wages and benefits. When you think about what do you want in a politician, you want somebody that's a good public speaker who's going to not necessarily looking for somebody to rise to the occasion. You're looking for someone to fall back on their competency. What are they good at? And if a union leader who is good at, I pause only to do what? Why would you want to end Social Security and end Medicare? Why would you want to do that? Get that shit out of my chat. The fuck? No, I don't want to destroy social safety nets. That will kill millions of people. Are you stupid? I used to work in Medicare healthcare. I primarily worked with people who are on Medicare, Medicaid, and food stamps. One of the reasons I got out of that industry is because it was failing. Those things need supported, not given up on. They keep millions of people alive, something along the lines of like more than 10% of the US population lives and dies on Medicare, Medicaid, and food stamps. Don't even think about Social Security, veterans benefits. Yeah, end the ignorance, right? The it's accelerationist, and it's not accelerating us towards our success and ultimate happiness. It's accelerating us towards our inevitable doom. Look at Stephanie say end hatred and in ignorance, right? People, Mickey said people were tased in a town hall meeting and it didn't even make mass media, didn't even make noise. So yeah, there's a reason that I'm founding the American Socialist Party, the pro equality, pro union, pro workers, pro regular Joe, right? I'm just a regular person. I'm not special. There's a reason I'm not running for political office. I could never call myself a Republican or a Democrat. Why? One, as a Republican, I would never take money from Russia. As a Democrat, I would never stand by with my hands in my pockets and play scared and quiet while the opposition party gets bought by Russia. I think the Democrats have played scared and have played the role of the status quo. And I'm not party to either. I'm not trying to accelerate us all to our inevitable demise, and I am also not trying to stand by with my fucking hands in my pockets and do absolutely dick, which again is what the Democrats have done since election day. Absolutely dick. Words mean absolutely nothing when not followed up by actions. Make sure that you know 0 Democrats are showing up to these fucking protests. Elected officials aren't going to these protests. They're not out there with you. They're not protesting with you. Just fucking true. We need a new party. We need a new party to fight these fucks from the left. The far left. And again, people think that when you're a socialist that means you're violent, and that couldn't be farther from the truth. I want people to protest, boycott, and strike. Those are still the most effective forms of showing your displeasure with an administration. I know it feels like the First Amendment's under attack and that you don't have the right to free speech anymore, but I'm out here exercising my right to free speech every fucking day. They're only better because they're not guilty. You know, they didn't also do it. They're complicit though, because again, silence tells me you're compliant. But if you speak out and you say, "Hey, this guy cheated at everything he ever did in his life and he didn't cheat in this election," what the fuck are we talking about? The only person that's come out and said it is Jasmine Crockett. Think about, where's Jamie Raskin? Where the fuck is Jamie Raskin, Kamala Harris, Joe Biden? Some of the most experienced legal and political minds in the United States. Where the fuck are they? Why aren't they working together to do something about this? Yep. Download the 5Calls app. Start calling your elected officials. Let them know that you're unhappy. Download the Goods Unite Us app. That'll help you spend your dollar more wisely. And as I've said, boycott, protest, and strike. Perhaps, Roku, that's what my hope is. My hope is that I'm wrong. My hope is that they didn't abandon us in our hour of need. That's my hope. There's a lot of people that I would hate to just see them fade away into obscurity. You know, like Jack Smith. Where the fuck is Jack Smith? Where the fuck is Jack Smith's report volume 2? Where the fuck is that at? Where's NATO? Where's UN? Where's the ICC? Come on and get this shit over with. I know where he is. The president of the ICC resigned right about the time that Jack Smith stepped down. I knew he was going back to the ICC. And remember, they work a little slow. ICC is a little behind. Sometimes years. But sometimes you just happen to have somebody that was the special counsel for the Department of Justice who was brought in to investigate Krasnov. That's just true. But yeah, I think that these incumbent Democrats should lose their fucking jobs. The people that are in power now should not be. On both sides. On both sides. I agree with somebody said we don't have years. I agree. That's why very shortly I'll have a tax number, a bank account, and we will start fundraising for the American Socialist Party. We'll get our logo professionally upgraded. We had it hand drawn, and then they drew it in a program. Eventually, we'll get that upgraded, and it'll look more modern, and it'll be more sellable. And remember, I just want to sell T-shirts. It's just who I am. Like ever since I was a little kid, memorable T-shirts, right? That's all I want. I'm not a politician. I'm not trying to seek power. I think that's not the path forward. You need someone willing to carry the guidon and say like this is what socialism is. Socialism is any pro-equality movement, whether it's a social policy or an economic policy or political, right? So think about this. The socialist economic theory suggests that things like rent, interest, and tax are derivative of your labor and that they should be abolished. Well, if you've ever paid fucking rent, tax, or interest, you're like, hell yeah, brother. I don't need any of that shit. You imagine money you'd save if you didn't have to pay all that rent, all that interest? Some people are like, I ain't no damn socialist. And it's like, really? How much you paying for healthcare? What if it costs nothing? What if you got the same healthcare and it was free? Oh, I guess I'd be all right. Oh, how much you paying a month for your prescriptions? Couple $100. What if it was $0? Oh, I guess I'd be all right. Now we're starting to feel like socialists up in this bitch, right? Because the only way you're not a socialist is if you think that you have to work for everything that you get, and everyone should have to work for everything that they get. And if you can't work for everything that you get, you should die. That's a capitalist. That's what people who like capitalism say. Well, everyone's got to contribute. Good, Stephanie. I'm glad you qualify for Medi-Cal. Lots of people that should don't. So we need socialized medicine if we're going to survive. We need socialized education if we're going to survive. We need socialized healthcare, education. We need income. We need $500 every Friday from the gov just for staying alive, just for surviving, of making it to payday. hmm And they've already done. For the record, people are upset when I say universal income, and they don't want to see that their neighbor grill out too, right? Uh, and just want you to know they've already done these programs. In Denver, Colorado, they gave 500 families $500 every Friday for 2 years. And do you know what happened? 42% of households produced a child, bought a house, got a degree, or got married. All four of those things are indicators of a growing economy. So, despite the fact that there are people out there that say socialism's not equitable, there's not enough money to go around. These companies got to make money. Actually, that's not true. In 33 of 34 developed countries, we have socialized healthcare. All the same healthcare providers exist in those countries. They just don't charge anything. And oh, by the way, they don't need our money to make money. We are peons. So keep in mind all that money that Americans pay for healthcare, it's not actually that much money. They make a lot more money because they're global. Sure. Sure. Although I'd argue you'll say that until the military steps up here. You'll say that until the president of the United States is tried under the UCMJ. And then you'd be like, oh, give the military all the money. They're the only apolitical organization in the United States that will not be politicized, that will hold people accountable. Don't let Donald Trump slip the fuck up. Don't let him slip up. You people about to be real pro military. I've been saying that for a while. Because people think like the military is going to jump when Donald Trump says jump, and I'm just pointing out that that is not how that fucking works, Dougie. So people are going to come out of this real pro military. You're really going to want to fund the fucking military. You know what you want? You want the demilitarization of every fucking other facet of society, right? You want to get rid of all these fucking contracting companies that take work away from the U.S. military, and then they hire the worst of us to fucking do the job. Yeah, and that's how like they get the reputations they have. hmm The U.S. military, a force for good. All these contractors, not necessarily. hmm Anyway, I gotta get out of here. I've been here way too long. Have a good rest of your day. Stay safe out there. We'll see you tomorrow. Cool, 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 cool. All right. See you later.